T-Rock.
What is up, man?
What's up, man? I've talked about you probably more than any person I've talked outside of Kinsey on the podcast, just talking about like your journey, talking about everything just how proud I am of you. So I think this is kind of everything coming to a head in what we're about to do today, what you're about to do today. So I want to talk about a lot of different things, but I want to first ask you, what got you started down this kind of path?
Kind of a little backstory. Whoever does not know me, kind of in college and stuff. Long story short, got into working out freshman year, just lifting weights and stuff like that. No running, no craziness, no cardio. Met you, got more into the gym and stuff. Junior, senior year of college, and then we lived together, which I know you've talked about a lot. The year before you got married, we ended up doing 75 hard together. That was kind of like the first time that I had really dedicated anything to fitness. Kind of just built from there. Read both of David Goggins' books, got hooked on him. So like the mentality and doing like crazy things and stuff like that, the love for that is really stemmed from him, and also just stemmed from people that I've now surrounded myself with. Same things that you do in your fitness journey challenges, other people, you see on social media and whatnot, but it's always kind of been like, why not me type thing. And so November is when I said, screw it, last November. I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for the marathon. Ran the Dallas Marathon the next month in December, basically no training. And then we did 75 hard again, and it's always kind of just been what's next. Then I did that, but I want to go further. Why not? Why not me? Yeah. That's really kind of where it just stems from. It's like, what, you see so many people doing so many crazy things, and it's like, I know that I'm capable, and just kind of drives me just to have a goal of always looking towards something and growing, because I don't want to be stagnant, and I haven't wanted to, take a step back. So that's where it's really kind of came from. Yeah. Just want to better myself.
Okay. So talk about the first kind of hard thing, I guess you could say, that you did was setting up hard the first time.
Yep.
I've told the story a couple of times, but tell the story of when I first kind of brought up the
talks
subject.
Of it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So basically, I completely told Baker to F off. He brings it up. We're in our kitchen. We only lived together for 9 months. You're about to get married. I'm, basically a partier at that point. I mean, we're getting out of college. I'm still having fun drinking and going out. And I told you, screw you. You're not going to waste these 3 months of time of us living together, because, I wanted to have fun and go out and do those things that I always did. And then about a week I think it was like a week later, I basically, same thing in the kitchen. I came to you and I was like, dude, I need to change. Screw it. Let's do it. It was right before Thanksgiving. And then we did 14 hard, which is what we called it. We made our shared note. Yeah. We did it for 14 days. Literally the day, Thanksgiving was when it ended. So it was kind of perfect. And I was like, yeah, I did that for 2 weeks. And I actually saw a change. Like, it was first time, I'd never really taken progress pictures and stuff. Yeah. I mean, douche pics, flexing in the gym, things like that. But once I actually saw the progress, and I was like, why couldn't I do that? And I knew you were going to do it anyways. And I was like, why not? So, I mean, I feel like it was that point of the challenge was there. Somebody who I was going to be around every day was going to be doing it. Why not give it a shot? And that's why I tried it. Yeah. And we had a big group doing it with us as well.
We did. Yeah. So much of them kind of fell off due to different reasons, but yeah, it does make it fun doing it in a group like that, and being able to have different people that are all going through different things, all trying to take on this similar challenge.
It's accountability too. That's the biggest thing. That's what I feel like I needed to get into those crazy hard things, at least before I really knew that I could do it on my own, just to see that, okay, other people are doing it that I know and I'm always surrounded by. If they're doing it, why not better myself and try it alongside them?
Yeah. So yeah. Talk about who you kind of alluded to it, but talking about who you were before 75 hard, before you did any of that.
Gosh. Okay. So in high school and in the beginning of college, I was never partier or anything like that. I played sports in high school, played IMs and stuff like that through college. And I've always been active. And freshman year of college is when I got introduced to lifting. It's when I started watching YouTube the whole time. And so I was watching, Christian Guzman and all the Alpha Elite stuff. That was kind of the main thing that got me started, him and Steve Cook. And this whole summer shredding series is what got me hooked to lifting. And then my buddy Thomas, that we went to college with, and it was never really, I kind of just wanted to do it to get jacked, get more, get bigger. I was never, I was never like a crazy small guy or nothing, but that's where it started. And then sophomore year, I ended up living with a couple different guys. They were all in the fraternity, and that's when I kind of got introduced into partying and stuff. And I mean, I liked it, had fun. It's what everybody was doing. I mean, met you through that, or partially through that, and in the friend group that we kind of ran around with all junior and senior year of college, but junior, senior year for sure, especially when we would go out. I mean, I was always the hype guy, so everybody knew that if I was there, I was going to be there to have a good time. They knew that I was probably going to do some crazy shit if I was drunk and partying and whatnot. So it was always them, pushing me kind of towards, drinking and, doing beer bongs with everybody, things like that, being the fun person like that, what we all consider fun at that time. And it just got me down the hole of, every time I was drinking, I was getting way too drunk. It was causing fights with, just friends, people who I was, with, everything. It just kind of, it made me, realize to a certain point once I got out of college and especially started living with you, like, there's got to be an end to it type thing. There's really no benefit to it. And like when it came to that and fitness, obviously that did not go hand in hand, never did. You'd be drunk out partying for till 3:00 in the morning, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow, but you end up doing a half-ass workout because you're still recovering and whatnot. So I mean, I think it was just I just fed into the party aspect. I was always wanting to go out and hang out with everybody at the bars, and it was almost like I was trying to impress other people, like, oh, I can drink more than you, or I can do more than you, and that it's almost like I'm a super competitive person. That's part of why I'm doing the crazy things I'm doing, but it's almost like I fed into that in those instances too, to where, people would try and stop me or ask if I was okay, and I would always, brush up, no, I'm good, and then it'd end up in the night and me puking in the toilet. It's like, fun times.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty. I would say that like the hype guy would kind of be like the perfect way to describe how it felt being around. Like you knew that you were gonna have a good time if we were all going out together.
Always,
and you were involved. And so I know that was kind of like your identity, I would say at the time, and that's kind of how you felt. You had to go hard. You had to be this guy. You had to entertain. I found myself in a lot of those situations where me and Kinsey have been having a lot of conversations about like why I always feel the need to make jokes in every situation, or why I always feel the need that I have to enter if I think a situation is going to be maybe like awkward or there's like some sour way that this could go. I'll have like pre-planned things that I can just drop in and help get through like the situation. I don't know. I just feel like I have to be that guy that kind of makes sure everybody likes each other and has fun kind of. But you were the guy that did that in the like party situations, and it was always going to be a good time if we were going out with Tucker. But I remember I told this I think one time on the podcast. I remember in particular, I think it was June, maybe early senior year. I started this like book club thing, and I forced you to go to the book club. We had like a whole video call about it or whatever. I don't know if you remember this. But we were talking about the books, and you gave that particular one you had actually read a little bit, and so you gave like a pretty good synopsis of what you thought about the book so far. I remember I talked to my dad after and like called him. I was telling him about the call, and I said, I've got this one friend Tucker that has so much potential, and I just wish that he would realize like how much potential he's got. And now to see where you're at today and the things you're doing today is so insane. Like I talk about it all the time. I think it's the coolest thing ever. Who do you feel like you've become?
Gosh. I feel like purpose is a lot of what I think about a lot. I feel like part of the partying, the college me and everything, it was like I didn't feel like I had that. It feel like I had like a set, I need to wake up every day. I need to do this, and this in order to feel like I'm actually going towards something or having the purpose of doing something. So I feel like with doing these crazy things, it's kind of given me a purpose, like a purpose to grow and just, I don't know, give people give people something, to, be encouraged by, and then also just belief. I think that everybody should have a belief in themselves too, that they can do something out of the ordinary. Doesn't have to be going and running 50 miles or anything like that, but just getting out of their comfort zone. Like, I feel like I'm now a guy who I can say I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. You hear that all the time. And I might have said that before, or said that, I was, okay with doing things that I had never, tapped my foot into. But it's like, now, like, I see things like that, and it fires me up.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm somebody who just can see a challenge, go after it, and like actually dedicate it. Like, I feel like I can actually dedicate my time and, just my wants, needs to actually go out and achieve something bigger than, beforehand it was wake up, go to work or go to school, come home, maybe go to the gym and do a half-ass workout, come back, eat like crap, like wake up, do it all over again, not really see progress. It's like I feel like I'm actually becoming somebody who can look at a goal, step back and see, okay, this is what I got to do to attain this goal and actually achieve it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have more direction. I'm more driven to actually go out and do things rather than just the constant circle of life, which is what so much of us get stuck in.
I think it's the biggest thing people get stuck in. And I think it is that's the reason I think something like 75 hard, why I wanted you to do it the first time, and why I think it's such a powerful exercise that people should do once at least.
Right.
Is that it will snap you out of your entire routine, which is what people just get. People set a routine at 20 to 22 years old, right? Whether they went to college or not, and then they just set it and forget it for the next 60 years of their life. And then they die, never having questioned the routine, never having changed the routine, never having done anything outside of it. And like, I have so many friends that I grew up with that they look at some of the stuff that maybe I've done inside of business, and they're like, well, Baker's just a business guy, right? Or you probably have people look at you now and they're like, yeah, Tucker's a runner. That's what he does. And it's like, if you would have talked to Tucker 2 years ago, wouldn't have even been in the conversation in a million years, and people never, it was the same thing with like the bodybuilding competition. I remember doing it, and we like to think, just as guys with our egos and stuff, like, I can do shit, I can push myself harder than anyone else. But then I remember getting through that and thinking, people would be like, I don't know how you did it. And I'm like, if I just did that, anyone else can do that.
Yeah.
Like, it takes a little bit of grit, a little bit of determination, a little bit of just like stay on track, push yourself. But it's not like something comes out of the heavens and just touches you and helps you push through that makes you so lucky to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
It's like, you just decided that I'm going to do something new. I'm going to push myself to a level that I haven't before. Yeah. And I'm such a big fan of people just doing those types of things that it is the only thing that can get you out of, to quote like Andrew Tate, which is probably not smart to do on the podcast, but get you out of the matrix.
Yeah.
It's just so many of us just get stuck in as just this exact same routine and never actually looking at, what if I tried to go run a marathon? What if I did a bodybuilding show? What if I did 75 hard? What if I started this business that I've been thinking about forever? And people just think it's not for me. But why isn't it for you? And you just said, why not me? I think that's a really powerful quote.
Yeah. I think one thing that's so just bullshit thing that people say is that people don't change. People do change. Mm-hmm. It'll probably take a lot longer than, when you want them to change. Yeah. Almost like, when you go to like biblical terms, God's got a plan. It's his timing. It's not yours, type thing. And I think that people they don't give themselves enough time to actually believe in themselves. Yeah. And so I have, kind of like you're saying, like, I have so much respect for people who actually go out there and change, because like I've done it. I know that you can do it. Like, and people just give up too easily. My mom gave me a sign, like, when I was like, oh gosh, I don't know, 5-7 years old. It's always been above my door frame. Never, never, never give up. It's like, if you actually live by that, you can change. You can do positive things in the world, and people just give up on themselves. I feel like our culture nowadays, it's, so, instant gratification, instant satisfaction, and just people don't realize that, even things that are, when it comes to like running, for instance, like I didn't start running a marathon, well, kind of, but normally it's like, go out and run a mile, see if you can do that for a month straight, then do it, go 2 miles one day. It's little steps, but it's going to take time for you to really see the change that you are actually striving for within yourself or others or whatever that case is. People just, it's hard to see, especially like, when it's somebody you're close to or friends that you, like you're saying, like you've been around people who've had this potential, and then some people just sit and they're stuck in it. And it's hard, I think, for people like us, that are driven, that have done it and gone after these challenges, to be like, gosh, like, even, when you'll talk to people like that, sometimes like, dude, like you could do this, like stop talking about it, just go do it.
Yeah.
Like, or at least just take a step towards what you're talking about, type thing. So.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is taking one step. And I also think another important thing, something else that you alluded to earlier, is when you first saw the progress of 75 hard, you were like, oh, this is working. Like I could do this. Because if you see a little bit of progress, it allows you to picture the potential end goal as far as something that's actually attainable now. Like you see a little bit of progress. And so I think measuring your progress in any type of goal is important. In business, it makes it super easy because you're looking at, profit maybe, or revenue or something like that. But in fitness or in health or in running, it might be, where is your zone 2 speed, right? Like, is it at where when you start out, is it between this pace and this pace? And then 4 months down the road, like, are you going faster now and you're at the same heart rate that you were previously? Like, or progress pictures or weigh-ins or things like that are all great ways to measure your progress. And that a lot of times is what people get addicted to, is the progress first, and then they follow up with the grind after that. How many races have you done or what races have you done so far? Take us through that kind of evolution.
November 1st last year, that's when I signed up for the Dallas Marathon. It was December 10th last year. So I ran the Dallas Marathon, and then I did a 15K race in Dallas, which is started like Fair Park. That was in February of this year. And then I did the Buffalo Marathon, Memorial Day weekend. So it was May 25th, I think. So about 20 days ago or so, did that. That was, so this year so when we did 75 hard, January 2nd to wherever we ended in, middle of March, I actually did my first training block, like marathon prep for 12, or it was a 16-week plan. I got through about 13 weeks of it, and I was dealing with some injuries. So didn't run actually a lot leading up to the marathon. Benefited me because I was able to actually get healthy. But that was the marathon that I went for sub 4 hours, ran it in 3:55. The first marathon that I ran in 4:35 and didn't have a time or anything set. I just wanted to run the whole time. That's what I did. That was my goal. And then now what we're here for, just outside of Austin, is BPN's 50-mile ultra, which is tonight at 7:00. So in 5 hours, I'll be starting 50 miles, which it was all a lottery. So there's 100 racers. So when this came out, like probably 2 months ago or so, and they posted about it on their socials, I was like, it's a good opportunity to meet people, to, who knows what could come out of this type thing. And also it's like my kind of Goggins mentality kick in, like, fuck it, I could do this. And so I signed up for the lottery, and then I was literally driving back from Dallas in the morning.
Yeah, I remember you called me when you signed up.
Yeah. And I remember you saying, you were like, dude, there's probably not a lot of people who are going to sign up for that lottery. Like, that's pretty crazy. Like, you're probably going to do it. And I was like, I got off the phone with you, and I was kind of like, no, like, it's a big company. Like, I doubt it. I was like, I doubt it. And then, I get the email or whatever, it was a week later, or maybe even a couple of days later. And I'm like, oh shit. I open up the email. It's like, congrats, you've been picked. I'm like, all right, well, we're doing this. And it's going to be 2 weeks after, or about, a little over 2 weeks after the marathon that I had been prepping for and been planning for. And that was honestly more so the intimidating thing than like running the 50 miles. It's like, I know how my body felt after the first marathon. I didn't have any crazy injuries, but like the back of my right knee, like just kind of was jacked up for like a couple weeks. I was like, if I'm going for a specific time, I'm going to be going faster. Yeah, I'm way more trained because I've trained all year. Because, when I ran the month before the first marathon, it was like I ran 2 long runs of 13 miles each. So I did that twice before, and I hurt my foot. Then I had to take a couple weeks off. And then this past one, it was, I ran over 500 miles throughout the year to prep for that. So like I knew my body was going to be in a good spot, but still the unknown of how is my body going to feel after a marathon. And I've kind of had some issues with my left foot, but it's also now it's just like, I can do it. Like I know I'm trained to at least go half that distance. I can do it again at a slower pace and, push my mind to let the Goggins switch on and know that I can do it, especially with, two of the people I care about the most being with me. Like it's going to be amazing. So that's the journey now. It's like just why not? What's next? And also it's just a cool thing of who can I meet out here type thing. And it's also like, so I was talking to your buddy Dan, who you connected me with, Ultra Runner, and he was saying that that's kind of how a lot of people get thrown into the ultra world. It's like it kind of just happens. And I was like, yeah, well, lottery and this opportunity, I would have never thought about signing up for a 50 unless it was really this, where it's a company that I've been following for so long, and it's like, why not?
Yeah. And that was Dan Holguin. So shout out to him for Russell.
Awesome dude.
Yeah, he's also awesome dude. So cool. It's been awesome to get to work with him. But let's talk about, let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about the prep for today. Yep. So we kind of had to get together. We had lots of phone calls. First of all, let's talk about how I even got involved in the first place, where that came from, that whole journey.
Okay.
This, Kenzie, if you're listening, that's my wife. For everyone who's listening, Kenzie, skip this part, okay? All right, go ahead, Tucker.
Okay. So, guy who I've ran with, so I would always do track workouts every Wednesday, pretty much all year, at least probably through April. Every Wednesday I would do like a track or a speed workout of some sort. My buddy Jake, who lives out in Plano near us, he would always run them with me. So I was like, okay, he's who I'm going to have pace me. And this is also before I knew that you could have a crew member and a pacer. So I was like, okay, Jake, I need you to come out and do everything with me. He's like, dude, that would be crazy. Like, sure, let's do it. Well, then probably 2 weeks or so before the race, he tells me, hey, I actually asked my wife, and she said that she's throwing me a surprise birthday party that weekend. So, can't do it. So now I'm the guy who ruined a surprise birthday party, and I'm out of pacer. So I'm like, okay, that sucks. Totally understandable. And so then it was one of my buddies I used to be in a fraternity with, Ryan. He did the Dallas Marathon 2 years ago and is a runner, but he's kind of been battling like a knee injury and stuff. And he's kind of just gotten back into running like 3-4 miles, I think, at a time. Long story short, he wasn't going to be able to get off work early enough, get down here. So then it was Sarah, my girlfriend. I was like, hey, do you think that you could do this? She thinks that she could. But then I found out that I could also have a crew member as well. So that's when I asked you. And then it was kind of you going full force into it, because that's how you are. That's how I would be too, if I'm going to do something crazy. And you started training and everything. And I kind of said, hey, Sarah Baker, y'all make the decision. Like, because both of you guys are kind of battling injuries. I
don't think we ever fully decided, so I hope she's ready.
You're pacing. Yeah, you're pacing. Sorry, Kenzie, skip that part. But yeah, so Sarah was battling a little foot injury. Your knee, you have basically one knee, and it was kind of just once I knew that you were going full into it, I'm like, you're going to be out there because you're going to be a Goggins and tell me to stop being a bitch whenever I need it, and it's going to get hard. And yeah, then this past Monday, I have a softball game. Jake's at my softball game. He's asked me about it. And it's like, dude, like, it's so awesome. Like, wish I could have gone. He's like, the crazy thing is, I actually found out this week that I could have gone or whatnot. But, I know you had already asked Baker and stuff and blah, blah, blah. So you can be mad at Jake.
Yeah. No, it was the second that you kind of mentioned that he might not be able to go.
Yeah.
I started to think like this might be happening. And so I had to play it because I knew that she was not going to be happy. Kenzie was not going to be happy with me. So it was like, first, we kind of like, we should both go get running shoes and just grab some of those.
Did not know that.
So she went and got running shoes, which I had been talking to her about. Like, I want to kind of just try.
Yeah.
And I'm almost at the point with my knee too, where I told her this like a month or two ago. I was like, honestly, if something happens to it, like that's a reason to finally address it instead of just being in this dumbass limbo nonstop where it's
Yeah.
just like it just sucks, dude. It's depressing.
Yeah.
Like I can't do all the things that I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
I can't lift my hit my legs like I want to, and it's been that way for freaking 6 years.
Yeah.
It's painful whenever I do try to like push it and do legs or do some sort of like weird recovery stuff to like work around it. I'm just at a point where I'm just like, I wish it would just tip one way or another because it's not so unbearable that it has to be addressed right now, but it's also not good enough for me to do the things.
Yeah, it's there, and it can hold you back, and that's why I feel like I've even told you at times, like, dude, like you're gonna have to do it, just get it. But then I know also, like with everything what you're doing, I know it's so you've got to commit the time, and you don't have the time.
It's essentially it would be 9 months to a year of no walking and getting especially living in like the middle of Dallas. I would have to get transportation everywhere, and then I have to basically relearn how to walk after.
Yeah.
Based on the surgery that they were telling me that I was gonna have to get, which is like a full cartilage replacement. I mean, I could get a knee replacement, but if I do a knee replacement at 25, they only last 25 years. So I have to get another one at 50, and then if I make it 75, another one at 75.
Yeah.
So that would also suck having 3 guaranteed full knee replacements. So it's just like, there's a lot of different ways that it could go. But anyways, I kind of told her like I want to start doing something like running anyways, or playing basketball again, or something that allows me to just kind of forget about it, or pushes it to a point where it's got to be addressed. And so I've been talking about running for a little bit, but whenever you kind of hinted at that, I was like, we got to speed up this timeline a little bit. So we got those. I started by just running 1 mile, and then kind of like started to build up from there. And then the weekend where you really needed like decision, I kept trying to kind of like hint it to her, like I want to do this, and I'm struggling with this decision, and kind of talking to her about her thing is that she doesn't want me to get injured, obviously, but also understandably so. When we first met, she was really into running, and I wouldn't run with her because of my knee, and but I was also super into bodybuilding at that time, so I was like, I don't want to risk my gains by if I'm in this bulk, I don't want to risk my gains by burning an extra 600 to 800 calories every few days and not have to eat that much more. And I was like, I just don't. But I mainly said it was because of my knee, which it was.
It was before the hybrid athlete really came out.
Yeah, exactly. But so that was part of the reason she was angry too. But she was just like, she knew too, the second that you had mentioned it to me, that it wasn't going to be something that I could turn down just with how I am. So she was just like, she was upset that, and rightfully so, that I was going to be put in this situation, and that she knows that even if I do start to hurt later tonight, which I promised, I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, that that I won't push it too hard, but she knows how I am whenever I get in these situations where if it starts to kind of like ache and I've got to push 5 or 10 more miles and I know you're counting on me, like there's not a very high chance that I'm gonna listen to that, and I'm just gonna push through. So anyways, finally got her she was not happy with me for a long time. I finally got her she sent me a text with like a whole list of rules that I had to follow. I think she sent you a similar text. And so we basically are now pacing it. And that's kind of where and I did leave it open at first. So I was like, listen, I'm going to train like I'm going to pace some. Sarah, you train like you're going to pace some. And then we can just kind of make sure that we have at least 2 alternates for the big day. But yeah, it was pretty much since you asked me, there was no doubt that I was going to do it. So
it's a real friend right there.
Yeah. But I haven't run, I haven't run like a mile on purpose. And I mean, there was that one 75 hard workout where I ran 3 miles out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I haven't run that on purpose in probably 7 or 8 years since like basketball practice in high school. And now over the last 2.5 weeks, I've run probably like 25, 30 miles.
Yep.
And then now I'm going to run half that in one night.
Dude, I was literally telling you, like, you don't, like, yes, what I'm doing 50 is crazy. Obviously, anybody who's going to do it. But you not running, and whether it's 5 miles you get to do with me, 10, 15, whatever the case is, right now, for everybody's sake, the goal is for me to go 35 miles, you to join me for the last 15 or 10 to 15 when I need you. whether it's 10 or 15 of what you go. I mean, you ran 6, that was your longest run.
Yeah.
Dude, what you're doing is just as insane as what I'm doing. Like you need to realize though that like that's like what I was talking about earlier. That's the little steps like of just pushing your mind
Yeah.
to go to places where people don't go.
No, yeah, even just running a 6, a half now like a half marathon wouldn't feel inconceivable to me,
Right.
you know. So I think there could be some different races and stuff that I end up doing later on, but just like the expedited, 2 weeks of
Yep.
just trying to run for the first time and all the things that I dove into. I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but cadence and watching videos and stuff like that you've sent me on cadence and figuring that out and getting cadence playlists so I can make sure that I'm timing my stuff out right, and breathing and foot health and stuff like that, and like foot strike where your feet are actually, like, all of those things I've tried to really dive into, because I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I need to be smart about it.
Yep.
And because I'm already operating from like a net negative spot with my knee, so like if my form's off, if I'm stepping too far out in front of me, if I'm opening myself up to risk anywhere else, like that can get bad in terms of like 10 miles in, so I've been trying to be super technical about all those things, but there's a lot involved in it, and I haven't even gotten into all of it from what you told me.
Yeah.
So
It's nuts too, because like even now, like I was telling Sarah the other day, like I'll pass somebody running and like all those things of what you talk about, like now are like so ingrained into my mind from just training for months and months and months now, which still really isn't that long. Like, I mean, it's really been about 6 months now, really consistently running every month and every week and stuff. But like, I'll look at somebody and I'm like, yeah, they could do this, this, and this to improve. Or, hey, let me help you. Oh, you're doing this workout? Well, hey, why don't you try doing this, this, and this? Break it up a little bit, not as hard on your body. Like all those things that you do not think about when you get, it goes to any sport. Getting into bodybuilding with you, like you helped me so, like it's just crazy the things that you can get into.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about prep for today.
Okay.
So what do you think has been? I mean, we can talk about nutrition. We can talk about gear. Talk about kind of everything that's gone into the making up today, because this is not like a normal even marathon.
Yeah.
Like you don't have much prep in terms of logistical stuff.
Right.
Talk about today what that.
So what I'm used to, I mean, the 2 marathons that I've done, they're in the morning. The Dallas one was at like 8:30 in the morning. The Buffalo Marathon started early. It was at like 6:30 in the morning. So my routine normally for a marathon, just kind of quick. I'll get up, maybe 3 hours or so before the race. About 2 hours before the race, I'll have like a bagel or like a couple of English muffins with like peanut butter, honey, banana. Eat that, and then also have a carb drink. It's G1M Sport. It's like carbs and electrolytes from BPN. I'll have 2 scoops of that. Have that 2 hours before, and then an hour before the race, I'll have a water with electrolytes thrown into it, and that's what I'll do for my nutrition. Don't really have to think about much. The 3 days before the race, I would carb load, but it's other than like actually getting to the race, it's like you wake up and boom, you go to the race. So it's pretty simple. The race is at 7:00 at night. It's also double the distance that I've ever ran. So I started carb loading on Monday, which is really like 4 days before the race. Normally I'd do 3 days before. So just kind of brief summary what carb loading is. However much you normally eat, depending on your body weight and your size, you need to eat a certain amount of carbs in order to have more energy stored for as glycogen in your muscles, so that you can use that and that fuel can be there in reserves whenever you get to those crazy distances within endurance running or training. So Monday, I think I had like 350 grams of carbs, so still pretty normal. But then start Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday, I've had in between 600 to 700 grams of carbs every day, which is so much food. Sucks eating it. But the 2 marathons that I've done that in, I haven't completely bonked in. With bonking is when you cramp, you basically your energy's shot. You basically have to walk portions of the race. I've ran both marathons straight of what I've run, and I attribute a lot of it to that. But in preparation for today, so we got up. We had to go check in at BPN, so that was like 15 minutes from our Airbnb. Perfect. From there, went and had a big breakfast. Basically just getting any carbs in my body that I can. Also, drinking as much water as I can, front loading it at the beginning of the day instead of later on in the day, because I don't want to feel waterlogged whenever I get there to start running. Getting electrolytes in too. So like I woke up this morning, I chugged 2 water bottles, and then I had kind of drink with like my greens, my reds, and everything that I have in, and a scoop of electrolytes. We went to breakfast, had more water, had coffee to kind of help clear digestive stuff because you want to make sure that you're feeling lighter on the race and take care of your business. That's a big thing running. Orange juice for some more carbs, and then we got back here and it's like more electrolytes. Took an Epsom salt bath just to kind of relieve my muscles a little bit. And now it's kind of just rest, not get too worked up for the race, because since it is at 7 o'clock at night, one thing I haven't dealt with is running through the night. For one, having to use a headlamp and stuff, and also sleep deprivation. So it's like just gonna have to be balancing water, electrolytes, gels. But it's basically been making sure I've got all my gear and stuff packed, getting everything here, and then we're gonna go set up base and kind of go from there.
So talk about the nutrition side, and kind of like what the weeks look like. Let's talk about the gear side. What all are you going into this one with that's different from a normal one?
So marathon, I just ran with a handheld water bottle, both of them. This one I'm running with like a full-on hydration vest, so I'll have two 17-ounce bottles with me. And then I've got I'll have gels with me and whatnot, because during the marathons I would do a gel like every 4 miles. With this, since it's going to be such a longer race, I'm going more to a time-based strategy. So it'll be about every 30 to 40 minutes or so. No matter what, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to have a gel or some type of carb source sodium, just to make sure that my muscles are getting energy and it's not going to produce cramping and everything later. Because if you get behind in something like this, there's really no crawling back, or it's very hard to. Yeah. So gear, it'll be that. I've got multiple pairs of shoes that I've got. It's at a ranch outside of Austin, so still completely.
That's a detail we haven't even talked about.
Yeah, I don't even really know what the terrain's going to be like. I bought trail shoes. Didn't even bring them on the trip though, because I ran 9 miles in them this weekend, and they freaking hurt my feet like hell. So I didn't even bring them. I was like, I'm not even going to think about it. So I've got my 3 pairs of shoes that I'm comfortable in running in, that I've ran in all year, because I'm kind of dealing with plantar fasciitis a little bit. Talk about that later or whatever. But so I've got shoes to kind of rotate from. I've got compression socks, which I've worn and ran in, that are great. And then, gosh, I mean, it's really just gels that I have. We've got caffeine gels, and even a cold brew coffee to drink later on in the night for caffeine sources, which is going to be different. I've got electrolyte pills to take in case if at whatever point in the race I'm tired of drinking my electrolytes and I just want cold water because I'm just tired of drinking the same thing throughout the whole night. I can pop those electrolyte pills, still get sodium and stuff into my body, and then still be drinking water and staying hydrated. That's not anything I've ever dealt with. I mean, there's just so many things that we're taking that I've never even experimented with. So that's going to be a super hard part as well. And then towards the end of the race too, incorporating solid food, whenever I need it. So PB&Js or, turkey roll-ups or avocados, bananas, those. And we've got all those things packed, and it's going to be just I'm going to go off a feel on a lot of those things. I mean, I know what it's like running half of this distance. So I feel like just pacing myself more. And then, once I do kind of feel like I'm hitting a wall, maybe it's start taking in some of those more solid foods to give me more energy.
Yeah. I mean, the other side of that too is we brought a canopy because Sarah and I are basically going to get there and, get everything set up for a couple of hours. Then you actually start running, and our job is basically supporting you for the first 6-ish hours, maybe 7 hours, until it's time for me to hop in and help out. So that means between 7 p.m. and 2 or 3 a.m., Sarah and I are just going to be sitting there and making sure that we have stuff ready for you and ready to go. And then I got to kind of get warm and get ready to go. And I got to kind of time my carb up and everything so that I can just function, basically.
Yep.
But we've got the canopy, we've got chairs, we've got extra chargers, we've got coolers, all of these other things that you haven't ever had to deal with before.
headlamps, batteries, rechargeable batteries for headlamps. I've got like a flashlight in case my headlamp goes out. Like, I mean, it really is just so much of it. It's a lot of gear that I've never used. That's also just that's one thing I love so much about this, and why, like, I know how crazy what I'm about to do is, like, to an extent.
Yeah.
Once I get out there, then I'm really gonna know.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so cool to me that there are some of these challenges added on to just the difficulty of going this distance. And I'm going to have to learn a lot throughout the night tonight. And I'm going to learn a lot about myself. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is learning so much about how my body responds to this type of, just basically beat down. So, and stress.
Yeah. Where's your head at overall?
I'm excited. Very excited. I know mentally I'm there. It's really just kind of talked about it, but my left foot, I've kind of been dealing with plantar fasciitis just from the marathon, and then running in those shoes that I tried this past weekend, which was so dumb of me. If you just bought new shoes, don't run in it right before the marathon. Buy it a good amount beforehand to know if they're going to actually work out. So that's kind of making me a little nervous, just my body. But I know, like, when it comes to like the fuel and the nutrition and all that, man, like, I feel really good, confident about that. I'm actually glad that I'm doing this so close to the marathon, for one, because, like, I kind of treated that as like my longest run. And I mean, I did so well during it. I achieved my goal then. And even during this race, it's like, I kind of have a time set in mind, but it's also like, I want to finish, and I want to prove to myself that I at least gave it everything I got. Yeah. If I can finish the race giving myself everything I got, I'll be happy, and mentally I feel like I'm there to do that. And that's all I need out of myself.
Yeah. I'm excited for you, dude.
Me too.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
It's going to be awesome.
Yep. We're thinking about making basically a part 1, part 2 of this. So if we get some time, depending on how you're doing tomorrow.
Depending on if I'm shitting myself or not. Yeah,
depending on if he is going to be making a Davis Clark video if that happens, so we can capitalize and go viral. But you guys haven't seen that, you got to look it up. Davis Clark Marathon. But we are going to try and do at some point we're going to do a post-marathon or post-ultra, maybe part 2. So be on the lookout for that if we can do it. If we might even be able to do it tomorrow, and then I can attach it, and this can be a whole long episode together. But I'm excited for you, dude. I'm proud of you. I always tell you that, but I'm very, 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 very proud of you, and blessed to be a part of it with you.
Thanks, dude. Love you, bro. Yeah, ready to attack it.
Before we end it, what are you going to accomplish by any means necessary?
By any means necessary, I will run this 50-mile race.
Right.
I will finish it. That's what I'm going with right now. Ask me again in the after podcast, and then I'll have a more detailed answer for you. But that's what I've got the mindset on now. Finish the race.
All right. Sounds good, man.
We'll win.
See you guys on the other side.